Hi, this is Michael Leahy, Chairman of the Irish Freedom Party. I'm running for election for the European Parliament in the Ireland South constituency in June 2024, and I want to do a series of videos explaining why you should vote for the Irish Freedom Party on a number of different issues. First issue I want to talk about today is the whole question of demographics and the decline of the Irish population and the relative decline of the Irish population in regard to the very substantial number of immigrants that we have brought into this country over the last number of years. It has been admitted recently to the census of population figures that a full 20% of the population resident in this country were born outside of the state. And it may come as a surprise to many Irish people to learn that that is a far higher proportion than any other European country. The equivalent proportion in the United Kingdom is 14%. We've always tended to look on the United Kingdom as a very multiracial society, but it's clear that Ireland is now far more so. This comes from a situation when Ireland was pretty much a monocultural society until perhaps 20 years ago. This process has been ongoing for a very long period of time, and it's come to a head over the past, I would say, 3 to 5 years. The Irish government has deliberately set out to replace the Irish population. I think there can be no doubt about that. Substantial numbers of completely unvetted people have brought into this country. Many of them are economic migrants, claiming refugee status and claiming asylum status. The government seems to have no concern at the impact that this is going to have on the future social stability of Ireland. It inevitably happens that when a very large outside population comes in and supplants the native population, that extreme tensions will develop, and this is something we have to be on guard against. We in the Irish Freedom Party support a humane and sensible immigration policy based on our population needs, and yes, also based on compassion for those who are genuinely fleeing from war. The Irish government immigration policy, however, has made no effort to determine the exact circumstances of many of the people who come to our country. We are all perfectly aware of people who claim to be from Ukraine, who don't speak Ukrainian, who clearly have never been to Ukraine. We're also very well aware of people who arrive in Ireland driving very expensive Ukrainian registered jeeps. Ireland is not the first country that they would come to when they flee Ukraine. And many of these people fly home for medical treatment and fly home for their holidays. There are very substantial parts of Ukraine which are not within a war zone. But the Irish government doesn't seem to be unduly concerned about that. And one of the reasons is they like to be the best boy in the class. They like to show to virtue signal, to show an alleged compassion. But that's not really compassion, it's a lack of concern for the Irish people. The Fine Gael government some years ago published a plan, Ireland 2040, when they indicated that the population of Ireland, the island of Ireland, would rise to 8 million. This at a time when Irish birth rates were through the floor, when the native Irish population were not adequately reproducing. And I remember some years ago John Bruton, the then Fine Gael Taoiseach, saying when he was asked to comment on the declining birth rate in Ireland, said, "Oh, sure, there's no problem, we'll simply import people from abroad." This is a very, very short-term strategy. We believe that the demographic trends in Ireland should be addressed by addressing the reasons why native Irish people are not having children. One of those reasons is an absence of housing. Another is an absence of employment. Another is our taxation policy, which discriminates against a mother working at home. We want to address that. In addition to the clear possibility of social dislocation taking place by the very large number of immigrants and unvetted immigrants and unvetted asylum seekers, many of whom arrive in this country with no documentation of any kind, there is also the issue of sexual trafficking and child trafficking in Ireland. As long ago as 2003, Interpol identified Ireland as a soft touch for people traffickers. There are many, many hundreds of people who have gone missing, children who have been brought into this country who have gone missing on a yearly basis. We should be aware there's a very substantial international trade in child sex trafficking, and this is something we must fight against. It is estimated, by some estimates, that there can be up to 20,000 slaves working in Ireland at the moment. Is that really what we want to see from our immigration policy? As I have said, we argue for a sane and humane immigration policy. But the government seems intent on virtue signalling and intent on destabilising this society. I think this derives from the fact that frequently in our coalition governments there will be one extreme party which will drive the agenda. At the moment we have two parties which regard themselves as centrist, but they are driven by an extremist party, the Green Party, which promotes attacks against the family and promotes destabilisation of society. Once the society has been destabilised and demoralised, the left in particular feels that it can then gain power. Those are the main parties that we have in our government, Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael and the Green Party. They have let us down very badly. However, the other likely contender for the next government, Sinn Féin, is likely to be far worse. They're a strongly globalist left-wing party who seek to would impose no restrictions whatsoever on immigration into this country. I want to address my remarks in particular to people in the United States who frequently fund Sinn Féin. They regard them as a nationalist party. Sinn Féin are nothing of the kind. No party has less right to wave the Irish tricolour than Sinn Féin. They're a globalist Marxist party. If you want to think what they're like, think of the American Democrat Party on wheels. I know that many Irish Americans are patriotic, both for Ireland and for the United States. And they can see the damage that extreme left-wing politics of the Democrat Party has done in the United States. If Sinn Féin are elected, it will be even worse in this country. They are not a nationalist party. Why should you vote for the Irish Freedom Party? I've given you the reasons why you should not vote for the main constituents of government and the main likely alternatives. Why should you vote for us? We are running a candidate in all three of the European Parliament constituencies in the upcoming elections next June. At the moment, some 20% of the members of the European Parliament will be of a very similar mind to the Irish Freedom Party in that they want a return of sovereignty to the nation states. They want to end the centralised bureaucratic control and the left-wing control of the European Commission. And we will ally with those parties. I believe that after the next election, next European election, those parties are likely to constitute approximately 40% of the Parliament and will be a very, very effective voting bloc. I'm Michael Leahy. I'm running in the Ireland South constituency, which contains all of Munster, much of South East Leinster and some of the Midlands, almost half the country. I'm asking for your number one vote, and I will be visiting every town in that area over the next 6 months or so. Mr. Herman Kelly will be running in Ireland North West and Culster, and Mr. Dermot O'Connor will be running in Dublin. So I'd ask you, wherever you are, you will have an opportunity to vote for the Irish Freedom Party. You will have an opportunity to register a protest against the extraordinarily destructive policies of the government and of the most likely opposition party. I believe that it can only be said at the moment that there is a uniparty in force in this country, and we must bring it to an end. So, this has been Michael Leahy, Chairman of the Irish Freedom Party, asking for your number one vote in the upcoming European Parliament elections in June of 2024. Thank you very much.